Good morning. It is the start of day 21, and I've started breaking down camp a little bit, and I'm just getting into the time when I'm doing breakfast. Let's get into the coffee situation. So for breakfast, I will be having oatmeal, the finest high-calorie instant oatmeal that I could find at the local grocery store or resupply store. I'll have some peanut butter in order to give myself a little bit more calories there. And of course, I will have coffee. I'm going to explain my coffee kit. So this is the coffee kit that I carry. This little straw, it's by a company called Jogo. It's about an ounce, and it acts kind of like a French press. On this side of the straw, there's a little filter. You don't usually have to take this off. I'm just doing it to show you. This filter acts sort of like the mesh strainer on a French press. So what I do is I put ground coffee and hot water in my cup. I put the straw in the cup. I stir it for a little bit, and then I wait about 4 minutes or so, and then I have a great cup of coffee. I just sip through the straw. I like really good coffee, so I carry whole beans, preferably from a local roaster if I can find one. Coffee Cartel is a roaster in Tucson, so I picked this up at the very start of the trail. I picked up a pound and I carried that. This is what I have left so far. Maybe that was too much to carry at one time, but it's been good coffee, so maybe it's not worth complaining. The next piece of my coffee kit is this coffee grinder. So this grinder is from Orphan Espresso, and it's called the Fixie. I don't know if you can see it there, but it's written on the bottom. It's made of carbon fiber in the shaft here, where you put your whole beans, titanium in the catch cup, and steel burr grinders. So the way this works is you just take off this little screw plate here, and you can adjust the grind size through these little discs. So I just have one disc here that I think is about 5 millimeters. They give you more discs at 5 millimeters, 2 millimeters, and 1 millimeter. So you can set your grind. And the reason they call it the Fixie is the idea is you'll generally set your grind for the type of coffee you're making and leave it. So I put the handle on. I replace the screw plate. And that is the grinder assembled. So normally at home, I would measure this. I would measure out for this one single cup of coffee about 24 grams of beans. What I've done here is I have to eyeball it, but I practiced at home, so I know that it's about half of the catch. There's a little opening here on the side of the chamber, a little silicone plug, I suppose, and we'll just put our beans in. Cool. Then we will close up the silicone chamber. So now we're ready to grind. I will boil some water. 16 ounces will be more than I need for the oatmeal and the coffee, but it'll give me a little bit of hot water for cleanup afterward, which is always nice. One last thing I'll explain before I turn on the stove is that boiling water, for those of you who make coffee on the regular, is not the right temperature for making coffee. You want it back from there, somewhere maybe between 194 to 198 degrees. I like 196 as a benchmark. So I carry this thermometer. So I'm going to boil the water, set up my oatmeal, and then put the thermometer in the water so that I know when to put the water into my coffee at the right temperature. So we'll pour a little in the oatmeal. And then we'll put the temperature thermometer in here. So right now it says 200. So I will wait until it goes to around 196. There we go, 196. We'll pour and stir. Just a little bit left over for cleaning the oatmeal out once I'm done eating. And that is my coffee process. Wait about 4 minutes or so and I'll be able to sip on a nice cup of coffee while I finish breaking camp. I am on the trail on my way to the Picket Post trailhead to get a ride into Superior. I'm just shy of 10 miles out from there. Today is a good day to tell you that a few nights ago, when I was in Kearney at the Trail Angels house, I picked up a trail name and accepted it as my own. So now on trail, I am known as Bougie. B-O-U-J-E-E. And then I asked him to look it up and tell me what the real definition was, which I'll put on the screen for you. And I like it. I think it's true. So a couple of factors, just to give you a little bit of the story that went into getting this trail name. One of them was, of course, me explaining my coffee kit, which you got to see in this video. As we were waiting for a ride into Kearney, it had been raining and we were all wet and soaked and cold. And I showed them my DCF mittens, which I can use to keep out the rain and the wind and keep my hands warm when they're cold, when they're wet. And that was the start of it. And then at the Trail Angels house, it happened to be one of their birthdays. And they invited everybody to have a shot of whiskey with them. They like whiskey. Of course, I like whiskey. And it was a pretty good bourbon, so I asked if I could have mine neat. And that's when everybody really piled on to the idea that I was bougie, or am bougie. I think if you know me in real life, you probably would think, that makes sense, that trail name fits. I am bougie on trail. We're about halfway through the day for hiking. So just over 6 miles. I also just passed the 300-mile marker, which is pretty exciting because today is day 21, which means it's the last day of the 3rd week. And as I've been saying, I need to do 100 miles per week in order to stay on target. With 2.5 hours in on day 21, I have made it to 300 miles, so I'm well on target. I'm gonna finish out the day at 305.7. I've been kind of dragging ass today, going slower than usual. So I think it's a good time to have a bunch of electrolytes. I'm gonna polish that off. I'm gonna eat a snack, and hopefully I can move a little faster after that. But